For the first time since 1992, states can legalize sports betting. But at this moment, Louisiana will not be one of them.
I wasn't surprised. I knew it was going to happen.
Louisiana State Senator Danny Martini thinks the Pelican State is missing out on a giant opportunity.
It's the only industry in the state that we do everything we can to thwart their progress. And they are one of the biggest money generators in the state.
In the last 20-plus years, Louisiana's gambling industry has become the state's fourth greatest source of tax revenue.
Anybody who thinks that killing my bill is going to stop sports betting, you can go on your computer or your phone right now and place a bet. We're just not going to get any of the money from it.
Martini was the point man of Senate Bill 266 that would have allowed sports betting to be legal in potentially 16 locations, including casinos and riverboats throughout the state. But that bill was rejected by the Senate Finance Committee. Republican State Senator Gerald Long was one of the votes against Martini's bill.
I think the question is whether or not we're going to open up Pandora's box on every form of gambling. It appears to me that this is the door opener.
Some would make the argument, however, like the chairman of the Louisiana Gaming Control Board, Ronnie Jones, that greater oversight of a largely black market already would actually be a positive.
From a regulator standpoint, a regulated legal market is always better public policy than an unregulated gaming market.
According to a new report, sports betting could be offered in as many as 32 states in the next 5 years at places just like Harrah's Casino here in New Orleans. It's estimated that Americans illegally wager over $150 billion on sports each year. But for now, Louisiana will be missing out on a cut of that money. And the fear is it'll be headed next door.
Now that Mississippi is going to be there, not only is it money we're not going to get, we're going to lose money because people are going to be more inclined to go to Beau Rivage and Silver Slipper and all that over on the coast because they have all that.
In its next fiscal cycle, Louisiana will be facing a $648 million deficit. And while even Martini doesn't believe that approving sports gambling will be the savior, he says it can't hurt. In a confusing twist earlier this May, the Louisiana House approved fantasy sports gambling through online sites such as DraftKings and FanDuel. And it's now just one signature from the governor away from being legal.
It's almost like the legislature can deal with fantasy, but they can't deal with reality. And that to me is sad.
During the Supreme Court hearings, all four major U.S. professional sports leagues and the NCAA begged the federal government to uphold the federal law against sports gambling, urging the court that expansion could hurt the integrity of their game. But those in favor of the bill's passing aren't buying that.
Regulators in the gaming business have been subscribing to integrity. That's what we're about. Because if there's no integrity in gaming, there's no public trust in it. So I'm not saying they're late to the game, but we were talking about integrity, from the beginning.
They should, instead of moving the Raiders to Vegas, they ought to move them somewhere in Ames, Iowa. What bothers me about the NFL is they're only interested in how much money they can make.
Louisiana is likely to get in on the sports betting industry eventually, but it may not be until next year. As recent as this week, Martini tried to wiggle the bill into a special session, but permission was denied by Governor John Bel Edwards. So as it stands now, if you want to bet legally on your favorite sports teams this fall, you'll have to drive to Mississippi because it doesn't look promising on the bayou of Louisiana. On the riverfront, Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.